Kiran Amegadjie's name is echoing through the halls of Halas Hall, but not in the way he'd hoped. The question looms large among Bears fans. Could he be on the chopping block? Just this week, reports surfaced as tangled as the Bears' left tackle depth chart, sending ripples of anxiety across the fan base. As we sit here on this Thursday, just a day away from a pivotal joint practice, Braxton Jones and Theo Benedict have been taking the spotlight, solidifying their spots with the first team while Amegadjie languishes with the threes, his status in jeopardy following a week of absence due to injury. Questions linger. Can he unseat any of the emerging talents ahead of him, or has his time in Chicago drawn to a close? With Darnell Wright also securing a position as a reliable right tackle, the numbers just don't add up for keeping 5 tackles on the roster. Ryan Poles gave Amegadjie an essential vote of confidence previously, noting his versatility would be a huge asset. After all, he could potentially play guard. But this is where the danger begins. If Amegadjie cannot prove himself capable of shifting inside to bolster a shaky interior line, he risks becoming the odd man out in a harsh playoff race. The Bears' lack of depth at guard compounds the challenge. Ryan Bates's ongoing shoulder issues leave the line vulnerable. Could we find ourselves watching an exodus of talent that threatens to derail what many hope could be a promising season? Now imagine if the new coaching staff, unafraid to make tough decisions, opts to cut ties with a promising player that the prior regime might have adamantly kept. The fallout could be worse than anyone expects, sending waves of chaos across the roster. What if Kiran surprises everyone, finds a way to showcase his skills, and helps solidify an offensive line that desperately needs steady hands? Or what if he doesn't? The decisions upcoming will send impacts reverberating through the entire NFC North. It's time to ask, are we prepared to watch a beloved player potentially exit the Windy City gridiron, risking our own hopes for this season with every back and forth in this position battle? What would that say about the franchise's direction and commitment to the future? It's time to rise, Bears Nation. The fate of Kiran Amegadjie is hanging by a thread, and we need to rally, like never before. Will we stand by our own, or let yet another promising talent slip through our fingers into the cold hands of the NFC North? Reports are swirling that new head coach's radical decisions could reshape our offensive front as we know it. With each practice, whispers of a hostile competition echo louder, painting a stark reality for Kiran. He's not just battling for a spot. He's fighting to remain relevant in the face of a fierce reshuffling of priorities in Halas Hall. The first domino fell with Braxton Jones and Theo Benedict thriving at left tackle, while Amegadjie sits with the threes, his spot on the roster, slipping like sand. But that's the twist nobody in Halas Hall saw coming. Could Ryan Poles be considering a radical shift for depth, maybe even a trade? Rumors are heating up about potential moves that could shake up not just the offensive line, but the entire offensive strategy as we know it. Navigating between the nostalgia of Bears' past champions like Urlacher and Butkus, what would it mean to cut ties with yet another young talent? When you look back at those legendary squads, they thrived on fierce competition. The culture was built on creating elite depth. The fear silently creeping into our hearts is the thought of seeing Amegadjie in another uniform, maybe even hoisting a Lombardi down the line while Bears fans are left wondering, what could have been? In a division where even the slightest misstep can become the full-blown catalyst for a long, dark season, the stakes don't get higher than this. Just look at the ghosts of the recent past. Injuries decimated the Bears' Super Bowl attempts, and here we are again, potentially losing another pivotal piece at the 11th hour. If Kiran proudly dons the blue and orange, he has to prove he can help fix a long-embattled offensive line, a line that's been more of a target than an asset for far too long. A silent war is brewing between the coaching staff's desire for stability and the thrill of cultivating fresh talent, and Kiran finds himself caught in the crossfire. Could this joint practice be the moment that defines not just his future, but the course of an entire season? With fans watching every snap, the question looms, does he have the grit to emerge as a crucial player in what could be a playoff-bound season? The history of the Bears screams for resilience and the willingness to pivot when the going gets tough. As the lights flicker on Soldier Field, will Kiran be there to answer the call, or fade into shadows like so many before him? Each approach by the new regime plays out like a flickering replay of past seasons, where potential wasn't enough to save a roster from collapsing under its own weight. We've seen this movie before. Bears Nation, raw talent hyped as the next cornerstone, only to vanish into anonymity when the grind of the NFL exposed the cracks. But what if Amegadjie rises to this occasion, turning the tide not just for himself, but for a beleaguered offensive line searching for unity, searching for identity? That single spark could flip the narrative, from a patchwork line constantly under fire to a cohesive wall that shields our quarterback and ignites the offense. The stakes aren't just about one man's development. They're about rewriting the DNA of this team in real time. Because make no mistake, the internal pressure isn't just to perform, it's about reshaping an era that demands a return. The historic Bears need their fight back. From the days of Butkus and Singletary, from the dominance of '85, Chicago has carried an expectation, toughness, resilience, and a refusal to bow. Every snap Amegadjie takes is loaded with that history, every block or missed assignment a referendum on whether he belongs in this lineage of grit. When the crowd roars at Soldier Field, it's not just cheering for yards gained, it's demanding a resurrection, a declaration that this franchise still carries the heartbeat of champions. And as the offense stumbles under pressure, fans know the truth. Trenches win wars, and without steel up front, the rest of the roster drowns in wasted effort. Yet the question cuts deeper. As the deadline approaches, do we hold on to Amegadjie out of hope for cultivation, or do we cut our losses for the betterment of the team? That's the razor's edge where emotion and pragmatism collide. To believe in him is to invest in patience, in coaching, in development, the idea that the future is built, not bought. But the deadline doesn't care for patience. The clock ticks with cruel urgency, and each second feels like a tackle breaking through an empty pocket. Bears fans can almost hear the debate reverberating in Halas Hall. Is it worth risking the season on untapped potential, or must we act now, sacrificing a possible gem for immediate reinforcements? This is the crucible of Chicago football. Do we gamble on Amegadjie becoming the next silent hero in the trenches, the kind of player whose name may never flood highlight reels but whose presence alters games? Or do we flip the script, package him in a move that could bring back a proven asset, someone who reshapes the roster in one bold stroke? History tells us both roads are perilous. Hold on too long and you stagnate. Cut bait too early and you watch greatness bloom elsewhere. Just ask any Bears fan haunted by the ghosts of trades past, where patience gave way to regret or impatience burned the future before it began. And so we arrive at the brink. Soldier Field lights gleaming, fans clutching their scarves tighter against the cold, voices rising with that mix of dread and anticipation only Chicago can deliver. The decision on Amegadjie won't just ripple through this season, it will echo across the next decade. Will this be the bold move that redefines the franchise, or the mistake that cements another wasted cycle? The clock is ticking, Bears fans. Louder than the roar of the crowd, louder than the commentary flooding in from every analyst. In the high-stakes game of roster decisions, we ask you to weigh in. Would you pull the trigger knowing it could define the next decade, or would you stay the course, risking that hesitation becomes the very chain holding us back? The choice looms, the moment sharpens, and one way or another Chicago will remember where it stood when the clock finally struck zero.